Hey, Jason Palliser here. So I want to talk to you about where do I find the right place in my city to invest? So we get that question all the time. So I just want to break down how you should start looking at different areas in your city that you want to invest. And I'll tell you a few things that may broaden your scope. And I'll also give you a couple things that I think will help narrow the focus so that you can get the biggest bang for your buck when you're making a decision on where to invest in your city or any particular city virtually that you guys want to do real estate, guys and gals want to do real estate on, okay? Before I do that, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so that when we drop more good real estate information for you, you're going to get it and you're notified immediately. Put some comments in there. If you have questions, we're happy to help you and answer them. So we want to interact with you and show you how to be a better investor, right? But let's start this video by talking about where am I going to invest in my city. I get all the time, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I always probe and ask, why? Well, I don't know. Here's what most investors say. Whether you're experienced or getting started, people just do what they know, right? I think we'd all agree that, for sake of argument, that there are better places to invest than others, right? Inside your city or city versus city, you name it, right? But most people just do what they know. And so what do I mean by that? Well, when I ask people, where are you going to invest in your city? They say, well, I'm going to do this zip code, 63301, 63304, 63302, whatever, in my area, St. Charles, St. Louis. They say they go with what they know. Usually you invest within a little bubble. It's just zip codes that you've known forever, and that's what you do. And quite frankly, there's nothing wrong with that, but maybe we should start peeling back the onion a little bit and saying, okay, why should I invest there? Or maybe I shouldn't invest there. So I'm going to start with data. So here are things that you can do that most people aren't aware of that can start to really help you zero in on the areas that you want to invest. So one of them would be, you want to, stop me where I'm wrong, put a comment in here and we can go back and forth and have a conversation on it. But if you're looking to find good off-market properties and help homeowners that may need help with their property and become a solution for them, right? You want to do that. I would hope that you would want to do that in an area where maybe there's a higher level of vacancy, right? Because properties that are, if you're attacking an area for real estate investment that has 20% more vacancies in it, then you're probably going to produce better results. I think as you're listening to this right now, just if we're going to the logical center in your brain, you're like, okay, that makes sense, right? But most people just, I'm going to start looking in zip codes that are near my house, right? That might not be the best and highest and best use of your time. Maybe there's more competition there, less vacant. So now you're burning, not only are you burning time and energy, but you're also burning marketing dollars, right? Because this is a real business that what you put out is directly proportionate to what you get back, right? From an energy standpoint and also spending money. So what I would do is say, hey, try and focus on areas that you know, just intrinsically know, have a higher rate of vacancy or more houses that need work or unkept, shall we say. But then you can do other things to start zeroing in on the ones and removing what you think you know and actually just going based upon, I always tell people, data doesn't lie. So let's get some data. So one thing that you had the potential of doing is this. You can request vacancy data rates from the post office. They may or may not play ball with you, but one thing that you can do is this, and hopefully somebody's taught you. If they haven't, then here you go. You can go in with a non-for-profit, whether you have one or whether you know somebody who has one. Most churches are non-for-profits. You could say, hey, I'll donate $100 to the church. Can I have somebody go in as the church non-for-profit and ask for vacancy data rates? So as a non-for-profit, you're supposed to be able to go into the post office and ask for vacancy data rates for your area. That doesn't mean that they're going to give you all the addresses of the properties that are vacant, but they'll give you vacancy data rates because guess what? Quite frankly, the mail carriers in your cities know which houses are vacant because they're the ones that deliver the mail or the mail is undeliverable, right? The reason you may want to do that and get that from the post office is this. Imagine a world where now all of a sudden guesswork's gone. Remember, data doesn't lie, it tells the truth. I always teach that. So when we do our 2-day blueprints and we're building out an attack in a particular city for our investment clients, now they're doing it with knowledge. right? So imagine a world where all of a sudden the post office says, okay, for the area, here's the 22 zip codes, and now you can see the vacancy rate in each one. So where you may not have it ready available to the naked eye, right? Or what you thought is now thrown on its ear, because now you can focus on the top 10 zip codes out of the 22 in your area that have the highest vacancy rate based upon who knows the vacancy rates, which is the post office, right? So that is one mega tip for you to start attacking the right areas. The second thing that I would do, which is kind of on the flip side of that, depending on what you're doing, whether you're wholesaling or whatever, you can look up transactions. So if you want to know where other investors are grabbing deals, you can go on through a realtor, through the MLS, just strike an agreement with somebody, pay them to do it, if you will, and just ask them, hey, can you pull up cash transactions? So what if all of a sudden in those same 22 zip codes, you have a realtor pull the cash transactions in the last 6 months in all those zip codes, and you see that by far 6 of these 22 zip codes have 3 times the amount of cash transactions, which means typically most of the time investors. So guess what that means to me? That means I have a lot more opportunity in those zip codes. So I have a lot more opportunity in those zip codes to attack and find better deals, because that's where all the other investors are hunting, right? Some of you may say, well, I'll go the opposite of that. I'll go to the ones where there isn't a lot of investment transactions. I would tell you that you can look at it that way. I'm not scared of competition, especially when we do off-market blueprints for people and big companies. We suffocate zip codes we choose for off-market properties 30 plus ways, not 4 or 5 or 6. So competition doesn't scare me. I want to know where the activity is from an investor standpoint. Now imagine a world where you wake up and all those, remember what I said? You're expending time, energy, and also marketing dollars, right? So what I want you to do is wake up and start doing this smarter. So the question that we're talking about here is, hey, where should I attack in my city to get the biggest bang for my buck, right? So we want to make sure that we do that in the right way. And so that's one thing that I would do as well, is find out where all the cash transactions are so that you can start to zero in where's the most activity in your city. So now that you get a better bang for your buck and produce faster results with less effort. So those are 2 things right out of the gate that I would strongly encourage you to start doing, making sure that you don't waste a single moment, a single energy expenditure, especially marketing dollars. Drives me crazy. Yeah, I've been spending $5,000 a month to get 2 deals or 1 deal. That drives me insane. We can produce results on that by simply just focusing on the right areas of the city to invest, which is what we're talking about right now. And then the third thing that I would tell you, start finding out, just start asking around. You can do it in your Facebook real estate groups, your LinkedIn real estate groups for your area, your meetup groups for real estate investment for your area. Just start asking, hey, where's everybody looking for their next deal? So I always tell everybody, start finding out in the area who those landlords are that are looking for their next deal, or cash buyers, especially if you're going to be doing some wholesaling, and just ask them what they're looking for. If all of a sudden you have 20 or 30 people that said, hey, I'm looking for properties in XYZ area or 123 zip code, then guess what? Now all of a sudden, instead of just attacking the areas that because they're close to home, which, like I said, drives me a little bit crazy. Whereas you would have been focusing your efforts on there, and maybe you got frustrated because maybe that's the 2 zip codes that have the least vacancy rates or have the least amount of code violations, right? And then you're also focusing on an area that had the least amount of cash buyers. If you're looking to wholesale properties, whether if you're buying a keep, then it matters less. But shouldn't you be hunting in areas where with the highest degree of certainty that there are people that are wanting more properties? Of course you should. Shouldn't you focus your efforts and wouldn't you get better results if the area has the highest rate of vacancy in your city? I'm just trying to create a new standard operating procedure when you're starting to evaluate. Again, we're talking about how do I decide or locate the best places for me to focus my efforts as a real estate investor to get deals going, to get the results that I want. And then one of the last things that I would tell you is this: go to your local county and talk to them about, hey, where do I go? Who do I talk to? What department? A lot of times it's online in today's world. Where do I go to get code violations? What do I need to do to find out the water disconnects or code, the good code violations, which are the cease and desist, order to vacate, stuff like that. And then grab that list and then separate everything separate it by zip code again. If all of a sudden you have 4 or 5 that have the highest code violation rate, shouldn't you focus your efforts there? Doesn't it make sense to say, you know what? I'm going to focus my efforts on whether it's driving for dollars or whether now I go to list source and pull a list in these 4 zip codes. You're doing it with real knowledge now. You're giving yourself, before you even if you start doing these things, before you start putting a ton of effort into it, and before you start spending marketing dollars, and you're doing it with what I call backed by data, because data doesn't lie. Now all of a sudden you're waking up and you, for 1/10 of the energy that you would have spent just by doing it on I'm just doing what I know in the areas I know. Now all of a sudden you're getting results for 1/10 of the effort. Now you're getting results for 20% of what you would have spent on marketing. Why do I know these things? Because I've been doing them for hedge funds for 16 years. I get hired to put together the machine to get to all the off-market properties first in a city. They're like, hey, look, we need to take over the city and average 20, 30 homes a month. And we need to do this at a very high level. So all that means to me is that I have to anchor in. And before we ever spend one marketing dollar, we put real effort into what areas have the highest vacancy rates. Hey, what areas have the most code violations? On top, the hedge funds, they just usually look to buy, fix, and stabilize a rental portfolio. So that's kind of more their focus. They don't look at who are the cash buyers in the area. But we also pull cash transactions. We talk to the title companies and say, hey, where's the most activity? We do all of this before we even try and get one motivated seller into our kitty. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I'm just trying to teach you some things from the top level down, all the way down to getting granular. How do I find what areas I should be attacking the most? If you start approaching it this way, here's what I know. The byproduct for you on the back end is that you're going to get more homeowners raising their hand, and you're going to do it with less effort and less marketing costs. So take this, and again, like I said before, if you have questions, just put some comments in. If you want some more help, just let us know. But like this, comment on it, subscribe to our channel, and definitely hit the bell, because now that you've hit the bell, every time we drop more good videos, you're going to get them and you're going to get notified immediately. It's our mission to make you the most razor sharp, focused, on purpose investor on planet Earth. So until next time, get after it and start attacking your marketplace and deciding where to invest, doing it with knowledge first, because data doesn't lie. Talk to you. See you next time.